Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into the really cool world of Japanese folklore. You know, how old stories can get these amazing new twists in modern anime and manga. We're focusing today on one that does this brilliantly. Kakuriyo, bed and breakfast for spirits. And our mission basically is to unpack how Kakuriyo uses that deep well of Japanese mythology. It's not just window dressing, right? It's like the core language of the story. And it really flips the script on what we think of as monsters, exploring some very human stuff. So just to set the scene for you, we've got Oi Tsubaki, college student, pretty normal, except she can see spirits, Ayakashi. Suddenly, boom, she's whisked off to this hidden realm, the Kakuriyo. Why? Because her grandfather left this massive debt, and this powerful Ogre-God Odanna. He wants her as his bride to settle it. But Aoi, nope, she refuses. Says she'll pay it back by opening her own little eatery there, using her cooking skills.
Exactly, and that's where Kakuriyo just takes off. It's so smart in how it adapts. And yeah, subverts the traditional Ayakashi. We're going to see how it kind of tears down old ideas about monsters to talk about things like empathy, prejudice, finding family in unexpected places, and maybe most importantly, the amazing power of food to connect people. Or, well, spirits. Get ready for some moments where you go, wait, that's who that character is based on? It's pretty cool.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Before we get into the anime's specific spins, maybe we should lay some groundwork. Like, what are Ayakashi traditionally in Japanese folklore? It seems like a really broad term.
It is, yeah, incredibly broad. Ayakashi is kind of an umbrella term. You hear it used pretty interchangeably with yukai. Think ghosts, phantoms, weird apparitions, even things like vengeful spirits, mononoke, or outright monsters, momono. It all ties back to Japan's indigenous religion, Shinto, and this idea that everything has a spirit, a kami.
Okay, Shinto, so spirits in nature, that kind of thing.
Exactly that. Trees, rocks, rivers, they all can have this spiritual essence. And these spirits, they can swing both ways. They can be peaceful, bring good luck, it's Nigimitama, or they can be, rough, violent, bring trouble, the Uramitama. And the variety is just huge. You've got animal types like kappa or tengu, humanoid ones, even old objects that come alive after like 100 years, kumogami.
Wow.
And shape-shifting obake or bakemono, that's a super common power. Jinji in the show, the nine-tailed fox. Classic example.
Wow, okay, so a really rich, diverse world of spirits there.
Yeah.
Now let's zoom in on one specific type you mentioned, the Oni, because Kakuriyo does something really bold with them, especially with Odanna.
Yeah, the Oni. The classic image is, well, monstrous. Hulking figures, horns, fangs, skin, maybe red, blue, or black. They usually carry these huge iron clubs, kanabu. They're symbols of raw power, destruction, think thunder, lightning.
Proper nightmare fuel then?
Pretty much. In famous old tales like Momotaro the Peach Boy, the Oni are the bad guys, full stop. Mm-hmm. Brutish, violent, sometimes even cannibals. And the anime actually nods to this. Aoi gets threatened with being eaten early on. So the traditional Oni is just unambiguously evil, Later on, Buddhism kind of folded them into, linking them to things like yaksha and rakshasa, man-eaters from other traditions. And they became wardens of hell, jigoku, torturing sinners, also closely linked to gaki hungry ghosts. So you have this really solid foundation. Oni eats bad. And that's exactly what Kakuriyo starts to pick apart. It really makes you ask, okay, how does the story set up this terrifying image just to turn it inside out?
Right, exactly. So let's apply that. We meet Odanna, master of the Tenjin-ya in Big Shot in the Hidden Realm, and Oni, a Kijin or Ogre God. How does he immediately start messing with that big bad Oni expectation?
Well, almost right away, he defies it. He's powerful, sure, but not brutish. He's sophisticated, dignified. People describe him as level-headed, broad-minded, all his power. It goes into running this huge, complex inn perfectly. And get this, his hobbies are gardening and flower arranging. Ikebana.
Flower arranging. An ogre god. Okay, yeah, that's definitely not the traditional vibe.
Not at all. It completely humanizes him, right? It makes him the total opposite of the violent Oni. Now, sure, his first moves, grabbing Aoi, demanding marriage, that does feel like a classic demon move. And yeah, people see him as maybe a jerk with a heart of gold or, that stoic Sunder type. But like you said, it's a kind of mask, a narrative mask the story sets up.
A mask. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for you listening. There's something deeper going on with Odanna, isn't there? A big reveal.
Oh, absolutely. This is the core of his character, I think, his true nature. He's not actually a noble Oni. His true form is a jockey, an evil spirit, basically a hungry ghost. His real name is Setsu, and Jayaki in this world. They are universally hated, feared. They come from these malevolent spirits sealed way underground. It puts him originally at the absolute bottom of the supernatural social ladder, like the lowest of the low, a total outcast.
Wait, so he's not just an Oni who happens to like flowers. He's from this reviled group,
Okay.
a Jiaki.
Exactly. Think Gaki from Buddhist lore souls punished for greed with endless hunger. That's the kind of origin we're talking about. So its whole journey, his current power, it's not about fighting some inner demon nature like a typical Oni story might be. It's about overcoming massive social stigma, prejudice, the trauma of being completely ostracized. That ogre god persona, it's like armor. Carefully built armor to hide where he came from, because showing any weakness would expose him. He even says he grew up amongst miasma, which is both literal from underground and symbolic of all that hate.
Wow. Okay, that changes everything.
Yeah.
Especially how we see that marriage pact. The whole reason Aoi's there, it seems so cruel at first, like he was just claiming property.
Right. But with this context, it's completely different. Ayu's grandfather, Shiro, didn't make that pact lightly. There was a deadly curse on the Tsubaki family. Shiro saw Odanna as reliable, trustworthy. He must have seen past the Jayaki thing. He made the pact to put Aoi under Odanna's protection. The debt. Just an excuse, a cover story for a life-saving measure. So that marriage contract trope, which is usually about, like, selling your soul, here it's flipped. It's about salvation, not damnation. Odanna sticks to it not because he wants a bride, but out of loyalty to Shiro's promise, a duty to protect Aoi. And it connects to his own past. He was a vulnerable Jayaki once, saved by someone powerful. So he gets it. He's not her jailer. He's this really misunderstood guardian, forced into the role. It's a fascinating twist on a classic folklore element.
That's incredibly layered. Taking a scary trope and making it about protection and loyalty. Amazing. And this smart way of playing with folklore isn't just about Odanna, is it? The inn, Tenjin-ya, it's full of other Ayakashi who also get reimagined. Let's talk about some of them. Jinji, the nine-tailed fox. Foxes in folklore are often tricksters, right?
Oh, definitely. Kitsune, like Jinji, traditionally have this duality. Divine messengers, the Zenko good foxes, or tricksters, seducers, the Yako mischievous or dangerous ones. Nine-tails means huge power. But Jinji, in Kakuriyo, he's almost entirely the good kind, the Zenko. He's kind, gentle, super loyal, always helping Aoi. His shape-shifting isn't for tricks, it's practical. Helping in the kitchen, getting around. He's like the nicest guy at the end, a total subversion.
So the trickster fox is now the dependable manager type. Got it. What about Oreo, the snow woman, Yukiona? They sound terrifying usually.
Traditionally, yes. Soul-stealing spirits, linked to blizzards, death, really fearsome figures. But Oreo in the anime, she's much more human. She starts off kind of prickly, jealous of Aoi, tries to mess with her. But you find out she's actually pretty insecure, very loyal to Tenjin-ya. Her coldness is more her personality or frosty attitude, not a literal killer power. And, funny detail, she's a big eater, which just completely grounds her, makes her relatable, not some deadly ice spirit.
A hungry snow woman. Love it. Okay, Akatsuki, the earth spider. Tsuchigumo. Sounds pretty monstrous.
It does. Historically, Tsuchigumo were sometimes linked to, like, rebellious human groups seen as outlaws, or they were just straight-up giant, vengeful spider monsters. Kakuriyo is Akatsuki. He's more of a sunder, rough on the outside, soft on the inside. His anger, his aggression, it comes from being protective, and from past hurts feeling abandoned by Aoi's grandfather, Shiro. So it connects to that renegade idea, but emotionally, he's misunderstood, not just evil.
Okay, so his spider-like ferocity is really about loyalty and past wounds.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And one more, Byakuya, the White Marsh.
Right, Byakuya. He's based on the Hakotaku from Chinese myth, actually. A divine beast, knows everything. Traditionally, this creature appears to good rulers, shares wisdom, wards off evil. Super important, mystical figure. In Kakuriyo, his omniscience gets put to very practical use. He's the inn's finance manager, super meticulous with the books. But he also has this secret soft spot. He loves tiny animals. It's this great mix of the divine and the mundane, kind of sweet.
Finance manager Byakuya, I like it. So, okay, we've seen how they twist these figures. What's the bigger picture here for you, the listener? These aren't just random cool changes. How do these reimagined Ayakashi help tell the story's deeper messages?
Yeah, that's the key. These adaptations, they're the main way Kakuriyo explores its big themes. It uses this spirit world to talk about very human things. First off, and maybe the biggest theme, is commensality, eating together, food as this universal language. It's baked into Aoi's backstory. She was starving as a kid, saved by an Ayakashi who gave her food. So her cooking becomes her way to connect across the human spirit divide. Her food literally has spiritual power. It heals the Ayakashi. This completely flips the script on humans being food for monsters. Now, sharing food is about healing, understanding, building community. It's huge.
That transformation from being eaten to eating together is really powerful, yeah.
What else comes through? Well, definitely redefining monstrosity and morality. The show just constantly pushes back against simple good versus evil labels. It keeps saying, look, character is about your actions, your kindness. not what you look like or what species you are or your social rank. Because the Kakuriyo world has its own prejudices, right? Lots of spirits hate Aoi just for being human. Whole groups like the Jackie are shunned. But the story sides with Aoi's view. Judge people or spirits by who they are, not what they are. And think about it, the ones who look most monstrous by old standards, Odanna, Akatsuki, Oryo, they turn out to be some of the most loyal, complex, protective characters, while some noble spirits can be real jerks. True monstrosity, the show suggests, is about character, not birth. It makes you think about judging surfaces, doesn't it?
It really does. Makes you question those first impressions. Okay, and you mentioned a third theme.
Yes, the weight of pacts and promises. That whole contract thing is central. Shiro's pact, Aoi's counter-promise to work. But they aren't just like magical legal documents. They become the framework for building trust, taking responsibility, even developing real affection. Aoi refusing the marriage, setting her own terms. That's crucial. It changes a forced deal into a chance for her to build real relationships, not just transactional ones. The story shows that, yeah, promises bind you, but it's what happens while you're fulfilling them, the shared stuff, the respect you build, that really connects you.
So when you step back, Kakuriyo, Bed and Breakfast for Spirits is really doing something special with folklore. It's not just using the cool visuals, it's digging deep into the meanings, the attributes, and weaving them into the plot, the characters, the themes.
Absolutely. It's having this really smart conversation with its cultural roots. It keeps taking these monster archetypes and finding the complex, relatable beings inside, reimagining Odanna as the survivor of intense prejudice, making Aoi a healer through something as simple as food. It sends a really strong message about empathy, about looking deeper.
It really is like a modern thematic feast made with ancient ingredients. Shows how powerful folklore still is for talking about our own hearts, human or otherwise. And maybe this deep dive into Kakuriyo leaves you thinking how ancient stories can actually critique modern biases pretty sharply. Makes you wonder maybe about the monsters in our own world, in our own stories, personal ones, societal ones. What figures are we holding on to as just bad that, if we look closer, shared a meal perhaps, might turn out to be something else entirely, something protective maybe, or just deeply misunderstood, something to chew on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.